the throwaway farm truck engine that secretly gapped V8s. General Motors spent millions engineering the flagship Corvette V8 to dominate the 1960s, completely unaware they had just cast a physically stronger bottom end for a fleet of disposable UPS delivery trucks. Detroit corporate executives viewed the Chevrolet 292 inline-six as a mere commercial appliance, a continuous-duty, low-RPM throwaway block meant strictly for grain haulers, step vans, and school buses. But working-class mechanics operating in gravel driveways discovered a fatal corporate oversight. Right out of the factory, this unglamorous farm motor hid massive 2.1-inch connecting rod journals, eclipsing the early Corvette's weaker 2.0-inch small journal architecture. Combined with a boost multiplying undersquare stroke and a universal V8 bell-housing loophole, analog purists quietly transformed utility rigs into turbocharged street weapons that humiliated showroom muscle cars. This is the forgotten folklore of the driveway rebuild. If you respect real mechanical truth, hit the like button, share this with a V8 purist, and drop a comment below. When GM executive Ed Cole launched the Chevrolet Turbo Thrift program in 1962, corporate focus was split. While light-duty 194 and 230 cubic-inch sixes powered passenger cars, the heavy-duty truck division received a massive dedicated industrial architecture, the 292. Detroit engineered this block for post-war commercial survival. It became the analog backbone of gravel driveways, feed stores, and family-owned moving fleets operating on margins where a broken delivery rig meant instant bankruptcy. To prevent failure, GM cast a foundation of sheer iron density. The 292 featured a massive 4.125-inch stroke anchored inside a heavy tall deck block, cast 1.75 inches taller than standard sixes. Running a conservative 8.0-to-1 compression ratio, its torque peaked at a stump pulling 1,600 RPM. While glossy magazines obsessed over high RPM showroom wars between the Chevy 327 Ford 289 and Mopar 340, the 292 was quietly over-engineered for extreme thermal loads under maximum gross vehicle weight. Veteran fleet mechanics knew this structural truth when a block eventually cracked under decades of continuous abuse. Standard procedure bypassed costly rebuilds. Mechanics simply yanked a core from a salvage yard and dropped it in, completing a direct swap in hours, not days. Beneath the cast-iron exterior lay an accidental engineering loophole that transformed this disposable utility block into an underground heavyweight. Upon its debut in 1963, GM anchored the 292's bottom end with massive 2.1-inch connecting rod journals to survive continuous industrial loads. Here is the mechanical reality check Detroit overlooked. At that exact same moment, Chevrolet's flagship Corvette small block V8 was still restricted to a weaker 2.0-inch small journal architecture. The legendary Corvette V8 did not adopt the heavier 2.1-inch standard until 1968. For half a decade, local grain haulers quietly operated with a stronger lower-end crank foundation than America's premier sports car. Detroit also left behind a second structural loophole by making the bell housing entirely universal. To save pennies on assembly line tooling, GM cast the 292 with the exact same transmission bolt pattern as their entire V8 lineup. The consequences for grassroots builders were lethal. A mechanic could unbolt a clunky 4-speed truck box and directly mate the farm engine to high-performance V8 hardware, including Muncie M21 or M22 rock crushers, heavy-duty TH400 automatics, or drag racing power glides without fabricating expensive adapter plates. Did GM knowingly hand builders a racing platform or just cut corporate costs? Either way, Detroit accidentally handed street racers a pre-wired bulletproof foundation ready to deliver massive off-the-line torque shocks. The real reason Detroit successfully buried the 292's performance potential lay entirely inside a highly compromised cylinder head. To speed up assembly line manufacturing, GM engineers routed a massive intrusive head bolt, casting boss directly through the center of each intake runner. Equipped with restrictive 1.72-inch intake valves, the factory head flowed a dismal 160 CFM. It was an intentional structural bottleneck designed to strangle airflow and kill high RPM horsepower. Underground hot rodders bypassed Detroit's restriction entirely. Aftermarket pioneers like Jack Clifford, famous for his 6=8 performance philosophy, alongside master engine builder Leo Santucci, engineered an ingenious mechanical bypass known as the lump port kit. Mechanics took die grinders directly to the iron head, machining out the restrictive factory casting boss. They bolted or welded in specialized aluminum inserts that completely reshaped the floor and roof of the intake port. When paired with larger 1.94-inch intake valves pulled straight from the small block V8 parts bin, airflow surged from 160 CFM to roughly 270 CFM. That single bypass unlocked a massive 69% increase in volumetric efficiency. The output completely disrupted the 1970s street hierarchy. While factory emissions choked 305 V8s gasped to produce 145 horsepower, a naturally aspirated 292 running a lump port, head-hot cam headers, and a 4-barrel intake reliably hammered out 250 to 300 horsepower. Mechanics worldwide recognize this hidden dynamic. Across the globe, Australian builders aggressively deployed triple carburetors on Holden Torana GTR XU1 straight 6s to embarrass larger displacement engines, proving the inline-six's true dominance was never missing. It was simply trapped inside a compromised factory casting. The systemic collapse of American performance during the 1970s was brutal. Driven by the 1973 oil embargo, aggressive EPA mandates, skyrocketing insurance premiums, and mandatory low-lead fuel, Detroit neutered its flagship platforms. Factory V8s were choked with highly restrictive early catalytic converters, severely retarded ignition timing curves, and compression ratios dropping below 8.5 to 1. Here lies the ultimate corporate betrayal. During this massive power drought, why did not automakers or mainstream magazines publicly embrace the inherently high torque 292 as the ultimate performance bypass? The answer is pure class economics. Working-class truck buyers simply were not glamorous. Mainstream automotive publications relied entirely on highly profitable aftermarket advertising dollars dedicated to the small block V8 ecosystem. Detroit executives looked down on commercial utility platforms, intentionally burying an inherently superior heavy-duty engine simply because it lacked showroom prestige. Underground mechanics turned that corporate elitism into a lethal tactical weapon. Because the industry wrote off the 292 as a disposable commercial appliance, it completely escaped regulatory scrutiny. While Detroit publicly buried horsepower numbers, grassroots builders quietly cultivated an untracked tuning ecosystem. Veteran builders realized that immense low-end torque, pulling a stripped-down lightweight chassis like an early Chevy 2 or a swapped El Camino, dictated real-world street warfare. Working-class invisibility became an active, impenetrable shield against both federal regulators and overconfident V8 rivals. The ultimate evolution of the 292 relies on forced induction physics. Undersquare engine geometry reacts violently to boost. When you force compressed air into a cylinder, a massive 4.125-inch stroke acts as a mechanical multiplier, leveraging the expanded cylinder volume to generate massive rotational force. General Motors accidentally cast a world-class turbo foundation decades before street turbo culture exploded. The exceptionally thick cast iron cylinder walls, highly stable 7-main bearing bottom end, and conservative 8.0 to 1 static compression provided massive built-in structural headroom for extreme boost pressures. Driveway folklore is packed with specific humiliation stories exploiting this foundation. Picture a late-night industrial park stoplight in the late 1980s. A loud, decaled late-model Camaro pulls up next to a faded, dented 24-foot box truck owned by a local furniture-moving company. The truck looks entirely stock, but hidden under the doghouse is a built 292 running a custom turbo setup and a 2-speed rear end. When the light drops, the heavy commercial rig whistles, hooks up hard, and leaves the sports car completely humiliated in its rearview mirror. Modern verified dyno sheets prove this was not just folklore. Power Nation TV built an accessible turbocharged 292 setup that hammered out 510 pound-feet of torque on just 10 pounds per square inch of boost. Elite builders pushed the envelope further. The famous Mighty 6 1936 Chevy pickup blasted out 857 wheel horsepower, running an 8.71 second quarter mile. The absolute limit was confirmed by Staff Bros Garage, who took an authenticated retired UPS delivery truck block and pumped 42 psi of boost into it. That stock casting generated a verified 1,320 horsepower without splitting the iron. To put that in perspective, a modern Chevrolet Silverado equipped with a high-tech 5.3-liter V8 produces roughly 460 pound-feet of torque. A boosted 1960s package delivery engine easily doubles it. As veteran grassroots builders perfectly summarize the phenomenon, it is an absolute weapon delivering 2 JZ power for farmer Bob money. Extracting serious output from a tall deck, 292 was not cheap. Sourcing custom rods and proprietary pistons pushed build costs directly into small block V8 territory. But old builders gladly paid that tax for a specific mechanical advantage. V8 formulas could not replicate absolute silence. A high-compression V8 with a radical cam announces its presence blocks away. It shakes surges and begs for attention. Meanwhile, a heavily built 292 retained a deadly smooth, unassuming idle. Mechanics intentionally routed quiet exhausts under rusted work rigs rolling on standard steel wheels. The real weapon, however, was traction physics. High RPM V8s tend to violently shock cold asphalt, blowing the tires away in smoke. The long-stroke 292 delivered a heavy flat wave of low-end torque that allowed a loaded rig to simply hook up and leave without drama. Old driveway tuners knew the truth. You do not need to scare the guy beside you. You just need him to realize he lost when it is already too late. The tragedy today is not just that analog cast iron engines are gone. It is the death of the working-class driveway rebuild. Today, dealership diagnostic laptops have replaced the seasoned mechanic's ear. Sealed, unrepairable plastic modules and proprietary scan tools have entirely erased physical intuition, micrometer measurements, and die grinders. We have lost the intergenerational folklore of fathers teaching sons how to rebuild a bottom end under a bare garage light bulb on a Saturday night. Modern disposable vehicles simply are not meant to be fixed by working hands. Here is the lingering truth. The heavy block Chevrolet designed in 1962 never failed or broke. Society simply stopped breeding the culture of men who possessed the patience, curiosity, and working-class grit required to listen to what it was capable of. Detroit buried its greatest engineering secrets under thick layers of rust and neglect, waiting for real mechanics to find them. Keep this oral history alive by dropping your personal memories below. Let me know which underestimated block we should uncover next. If you believe real displacement beats plastic modules, hit subscribe, smash the like button, and share this with a V8 purist.